This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. Happy Halloween.
I bid you welcome.
The nights are getting chilly, the trees are getting bare. Autumn is here, and it's a good time for some horror movies again. This time I brought to you 3 horror movies from 3 different countries. These are horror movies many of you likely haven't heard of, but definitely worth your time. From the psychological torment of violence in Mexico, to the dehumanization of migrant workers in Singapore, and the side effect of a rapidly growing economy in India, these movies reflect on the collective fear of a society, using the genre as a disguise to show us the true darkness of the world.
How old? 18.
They are not only entertaining, but insightful. Without further ado, let the show begin. First up, Tigers Are Not Afraid, from Mexico. This is a mashup of crime thriller and supernatural horror. Some call it a crime horror, I call it a terror film, for it truly captures the essence of terror. Young Estrella is a girl living in a part of Mexico ravaged by organized violent crime. One day, her school shuts down indefinitely due to a shooting, and her mother disappeared without a trace.
Mama?
Young Estrella has nowhere to go, so she seeks help from a group of delinquents. The group is then hunted by a cartel for stealing a gun. All while terrifying visions of ghosts haunt Estrella. Tigers is one of the most beautiful horror movies I've ever seen. Not bombastic, but the subtle beauty is captivating. A beam of light shining on the fish pond. A mirror balances the left and right of the frame. The gentle lighting mesmerizes. The shades of grey add texture to the world. Every shot is masterfully crafted. But it doesn't just look good. Every shot also presents a cohesive atmosphere. Black ribbons and boarded windows make the world feel lived in yet abandoned. The sight of a piano on fire is surreal yet haunting. We see children playing at a crime scene. Violence is so normalized, everyone looks dangerous, and at the same time, you cease to feel danger. This incongruity permeates the entire film. You are presented with a hostile world, with no clear indication of what the danger is. Violence feels like the natural state of the world. This is where the horror comes into play. Throughout the film, Estrella is haunted by fearful visions. Trails of blood follow her home. Rows of corpses fill the hallway. Presenting the result of crimes as a supernatural horror de-emphasizes the physicalities. It instead focuses on the psychological, how crime affects one's mind, and I love it so much. We listen to children sharing fairy tales to entertain each other, and their imaginations are tainted.
Y ahora anda rondando por todas las calles, enojado y hambriento.
When children fantasize about being an adult, they have no greater ambition than to live like a criminal. It's no secret that organized crime is a massive problem in Mexico, but it's one thing to know the stats. It's a whole other thing to truly feel what it feels like to live in that kind of environment, and this film lets you feel it. To me, the scariest scene is this one. You see these children abandon their childish fantasy.
No hay deseos. No hay nada. No hay ni tigres.
They have to grow up on their own to survive. To me, that's the essence of terror. The monster of this world doesn't drive you into insanity, it takes your innocence away. The whole world feels wrong, and that is more terrifying than any ghosts or monsters. Hey, if you are planning on a Halloween party, instead of sending an email invitation, why not direct your friends to a website? it will have so much more personality and feel that much more special. From your business to your baby shower or a fan site, so many things can be elevated with just a website. And with Squarespace, you can set everything up in no time flat. Here is the entire process of me setting up a front page for a hypothetical fundraising website. From choosing a template to text edit to replacing images, it took me mere minutes. So why not give it a try too? Start a free trial at squarespace.com/accentincinema and use the code accentincinema to get 10% off your first purchase. For real, if you are an artist or starting a business, a website remains the most professional and attractive way to advertise yourself. Having just one link on your business card means a world of difference. With no commitment needed, all you need to do is visit squarespace.com/accentincinema and get started right now. Next up, The Maid from Singapore. Ah yes, look at that grungy image quality, that burning subtitles. That's how you know you're in for some good shit. Suggested by one of our patrons on Patreon, thank you very much. The Maid is one of those Asian horror films from the 2000s, similar to The Eye from Hong Kong and Shutter from Thailand. It's the most conventional of today's recommendations, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its own merit. Rosa is a Filipino maid who got hired by a Chinese family in Singapore. She arrives right around the time of the Chinese Ghost Festival, a time Chinese people believe the gates of hell are wide open. As a result, the maid is besieged by ghostly visions.
You cannot sit there. The first row is reserved for the ghost one.
The horror elements are all based on Chinese folk customs, and as far as I can tell, they are the exact same thing I heard when I was a child.
If you leave the ghosts alone, they will leave you alone.
And since the film is told from the perspective of a migrant worker with no prior knowledge, this movie is perhaps the best entry into knowing Chinese religious customs. The film can be kinda slow, especially during Act 2, but the horror is always great. Do you see that reflection? The use of silence is effective. Sound effects like footsteps are often entirely missing. I'm not sure if this is intentional, but it works really well. Many of the scares are rooted in Chinese beliefs. Rosa's vision of a child holding some internal organs, based on the Buddhist myth of Preta. It's amazing how faithful this film is to Chinese folk religion, which can also be a detriment. If you are familiar with Chinese beliefs, you can probably guess why Rosa was hired. Speaking of Rosa, through her eyes, we also see the unfortunate circumstances of many Filipino domestic helpers. Globally, there are about 10 million overseas Filipinos. About a third are women working as domestic helpers. These women often have to work in exploitative environments to support their families back home. While this film didn't go deep into the exploitation angle, there is still a strong sense of dehumanization.
You first time come to Singapore. You don't know what kind of people outside. They cheat you. You also don't know.
Rosa is constantly being objectified and infantilized. Filipino domestic helpers are often looked down upon, and thus socially isolated. Rosa is always in a state of helplessness. This is the reality for many Filipino migrant workers. True to Chinese beliefs, the scariest thing isn't a ghost, it's the human heart. Last but not least, Tombat from India. This is a highly requested film from our Indian viewers, but don't let its Bollywood destination fool you into thinking it's gonna be all songs and dances and a lot of fun. This movie is hardcore. Tombat tells the story of a man who grew up in poverty inside a cursed mansion. Fueled by his desire for a better life, the man loots his ancestral home for gold, despite knowing the treasure is cursed by the gods. This is a mythological folk horror film featuring elements like divine punishment, and the depiction of said punishment is ghastly. Without spoiling too much, here is one memorable moment. You see this up image of a tree growing out of a human body, with a beating heart hanging like a fruit. Narratively, it's close to classic allegories like the Greek myth of King Midas, but atmospherically, the vastness of Hindu mythology blesses this film with an otherworldly cosmic horror. The horror is beyond logic and reasoning. It reminds me of Junji Ito. Beyond the horror elements, the movie is just remarkably good looking. There's this extended sequence of visual storytelling. With no words to distract you, the atmosphere takes over and is oh so effective. But what captivates me the most is the theme: greed. In the prologue, we see how the man used to live a harsh life, until tragedy struck and he had to leave the village with his mother. His mother only seeks peace, but the son wants to grab the cursed treasure before leaving. It's understandable why he desired wealth so much. After so much suffering, is it really wrong to want a better life? In the past 2 decades, the GDP of India skyrocketed. With greater wealth, more people have more chances to get rich. And if my anecdotal experience in a certain neighboring country is any indication, chances are many people are now obsessively chasing after wealth, haunted by their poverty-stricken past. Tombat mirrors that mentality. It seems like the movie is saying that all forms of materialistic desire are greed, or that the method of obtaining wealth determines greed, not the intention nor the outcome. It's an interesting take. It makes me re-examine my own morality. In other words, Tombat makes you think, and that's one of the best things a movie can do. And those are the 3 horror movies from 3 different countries. I find it fascinating that horror generally is the first genre to transcend the language barriers. I guess it doesn't matter where you go, darkness is always around the corner. Still, even within the horror fandom, it's difficult to look beyond the usual Australian, Sweden, or France. This is why I deliberately choose movies from industries that aren't known for their horror films, at least not in the English-speaking part of the world. So, hopefully, this video opens a few new doors for you. If you have other horror gems you wish to share, leave a comment below. I wish you all a spooky season.